everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Georgia and I'm going to be doing the Spring of 2020 Disney College program. I'll be working as a lifeguard at Blizzard Beach and I'm so excited about it, and I want to just share a little bit of my perspective and my tips and tricks with all of you. If you're watching this video, it's probably because you're either considering applying for the Disney College program or you've already done the first 2 rounds of applications and you are getting ready to do your phone interview. If that's you, congratulations, that's so exciting that you've made it this far. I really wish the best for you. This has been a great experience for me, and I am really hopeful for all of you, and I'm hopeful that my tips and tricks can help you just really shine in your phone interview. First, I want to start this video with a story about my phone interview, which it didn't go well. So I want to just ease all of your hearts and minds. I know that this is stressful. This might be your first job interview ever, or it might just be the most important, most exciting job interview ever. Either way, you're probably a little bit nervous, which is totally fine and totally normal. But I thought sharing a story about how my phone interview went would maybe just help ease some of the nerves a little bit, because I was still accepted to the program despite the circumstances surrounding my phone interview. So I did my phone interview back in August of 2019. I got all of my information after my web-based interview, and they told me, you know, make sure that you accept the phone call. It's going to come from an unknown number. Make sure you're not driving when you get the phone call, because we won't be allowed to interview you if you're driving. It's a safety concern. All of that. So I knew all the information and I was ready. I had note cards with all of my answers. I had a note card ready with like all my tips, all the things I was going to say, and how I was just really going to dazzle my interviewer. I had my camera ready. I was going to film my interview so that I could watch it back later and hopefully post it to YouTube. I'll get to that in a minute about why I'm not able to post my interview to YouTube and why I wasn't able to film it. But I had all these notes. I had them taped up to my wall. I had just gotten a new pair of Disney ears that I was going to wear to kind of, you know, get me in the zone and get me ready for my interview. I had my Disney playlist loaded up on my Spotify. I was ready to go. I was in the zone. It was coming up that Friday night. I got off work at 5 and I went to go babysit. I was supposed to babysit until 9, and my interview wasn't until 11 p.m. that night, so that was totally fine. I live about 15 minutes from where I was babysitting, so it was going to be no problem at all. I was going to be home by 9:15, have plenty of time to get in the zone, eat some dinner, and get ready to have a magical interview. Well, the woman that I was babysitting for was a little late getting home that night, so she got home around 9:30. I was still thinking, no big deal. I'll be home by 9:45, and then I'll still have a little over an hour to get ready before my phone call. No problem at all. So I start driving home, and while I'm driving, I think that the traffic is starting to slow down a little bit, and I'm getting a little bit nervous, but I think, you know, I'm 5 minutes from home. It's no big deal. I'm going to be home in plenty of time. So I start sitting in this traffic, and the traffic gets, you know, it slows down a lot. It's bumper to bumper at this point, and we're all just sitting at a standstill. And that's when I remember that in my town on Friday nights, there is a mandatory sobriety test for every car that drives through my town. So they stop your car, you have to park your car and get out and, you know, do a field sobriety walk, and tell the police officer that you haven't been drinking, and you have to do all of the normal field sobriety test things. So it takes a little while, especially if you're, you know, waiting in line behind 30 or 40 cars as I was waiting to take this field sobriety test. So I start to get a little bit nervous at that point, thinking, oh my gosh, what if I don't make it home in time? This might take a little while. And so I've been sitting in traffic for about an hour. I'm getting pretty close to the police officers, and I'm about to go, you know, get out of my car and go through the motions of the field sobriety test. And I do all of that, and at this point, it's like 10:55 p.m. I'm supposed to be getting my phone call in 5 minutes. So I get out of the car and I explain to the officer that I have a phone interview for a job coming up in about 5 minutes, and that I was in a hurry to get home. So he was very kind, and he did my sobriety test very quickly and got me through it and sent me on my way, but there was still a lot of traffic, and I'm about 2 minutes from home. I'm about to pull into my apartment's parking lot, and my phone starts ringing and it says it's from an unknown number. And I was like, oh shoot, okay, what am I gonna do? I can't do this interview while I'm in the car. That's not safe. They told us not to do that. So I answer the phone and I say, hi, this is Georgia Gallagher. Thank you so much for giving me a call. I am in my car right now due to some unforeseen circumstances, so I'm gonna put you on hold for just 1 minute if that's okay, and I'm gonna find somewhere to pull over and park. And luckily my interviewer started laughing and she said, that's totally fine, I understand, put me on hold for as long as you need. And so I pull over into a gas station parking lot. It was the closest that I could find. And so I pull over and I park and I turn my car off. And I forget that my phone is plugged into the Bluetooth. So I turn my car off and then now I can't hear my interviewer because it's going through the Bluetooth in my car, which isn't on. So I take her off of Bluetooth and I apologize and kind of explain my situation. And I told her the whole story that I just told y'all. And she thought it was hilarious and it was great and we can laugh about it now. But I was mortified. I felt horribly underprepared. All of my note cards were in my bedroom at my apartment and I didn't have them in my car. I wasn't able to film the interview because I didn't have my camera in my car and I couldn't be filming while I was on the phone from my phone. And so we're going through the interview and, you know, I told her that I'm sitting in a gas station parking lot and that I'm parked not too far from my apartment. And of course, something happens at the gas station and I start hearing sirens. And there are fire trucks pulling in behind me into the gas station. And so through the entire interview, the woman who was interviewing me can hear sirens in the background going on and honking and just, you know, normal sounds of the city. But things went fine. After I got over my initial nerves and apologized to her and explained my situation, she was very, very kind and she helped me feel comfortable. And even though I thought the interview went horribly, you know, I realized that it probably wasn't as bad as I thought, and it might have even been a little bit helpful that I was able to show the interviewer that I was in not a great circumstance and that there was a lot of stuff going on around me and I was still kind of able to play it cool and do my interview the same as usual. So if something like that happens, hopefully not something as crazy as mine, but if your interview comes 15 minutes early or 15 minutes late, or if you don't have all the notes that you thought you were going to have, or if your phone dies, don't freak out, don't panic. Your interviewer will understand that you are a human being and that sometimes things aren't perfect and things don't go the way that you plan. Just keep on keeping on, do your interview the way that you had hoped, and speak confidently and explain the situation to the interviewer and it'll be okay. They'll understand. You'll get through it, take a few deep breaths and get through the nerves and you'll be fine. So, long story short, I hope that this story of how my phone interview went gives you some encouragement and some faith that if you get into a bad situation right before your interview, it's not the end of the world. Don't panic, don't freak out. It doesn't mean you're not in consideration anymore just because you didn't have the perfect phone interview. So let's talk a little bit about that phone interview. So here's how it's going to go. You're going to get a call at whatever time you scheduled yourself for. It could be a little early or a little late, but it shouldn't be more than 15 or 20 minutes early or late. So mine was scheduled for 11 p.m. and it came at 10:58, something like that. Just slightly early, but not too early. The interview was supposed to take around 15 minutes, but that I've found is not necessarily true for everyone. Mine was about 23 minutes. Some of my other friends had even longer than that. And I talked to a few people who had 9 or 10-minute interviews, and they still did get accepted. So just because your interview runs a little short or a little long, it's not a big deal. It doesn't mean anything. If your interviewer only had a few questions for you, that's not because they hated you. It might just be they have a lot of information from your application and they kind of know what role they want to put you in. So if your interview is 9 or 10 minutes long, that's not necessarily a bad thing, so don't panic. They're going to call you from an unknown number. It'll say unknown number or it'll say no number, something like that. So make sure you answer that call. It's not going to have a real phone number on there that you can call back. So when you answer, I would just answer with your name. So I said something like, hi, this is Georgia Gallagher. Thank you so much for calling me. You can say something along those lines. You can say, "Hi, this is Georgia." You can say, "This is Georgia's phone." You know, anything along those lines, just whatever makes you feel comfortable, and just be polite and speak as you normally would on the phone. So right after that, the interviewer is going to introduce themselves and they're going to tell you their first name. This is really important. Disney is a first name company. Disney loves first names, and they want to know that you also love first names. So when your interviewer tells you their name, write it down so that you don't forget it. My interviewer's name was Emily, and like I said, I didn't have any way to write it down at the time, and so I put her on speaker and I put it in a note in my phone really quickly just so that I made sure that I did not forget Emily's name. You're going to want to make sure that you use your interviewer's name a few times while you're answering questions. So you might say, "Wow, that is a great question, Emily. I think blah, 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 answer your question." Towards the end of the interview, you'll want to thank them and say, "Thank you so much for interviewing me, Emily. I really appreciate your time. I hope you have a magical rest of your day." Anything like that will work. So use their first name. That's my first tip. My next tip is to be yourself and really show off your personality. Make sure if you are really funny, feel free to crack a few jokes. That's great. And then another tip is to smile while you're on the phone. Make sure you're smiling because you can hear it in your voice. You can hear the difference between, "Hi, this is Georgia Gallagher. Thanks for calling me." And, "Hi, this is Georgia Gallagher. Thanks for giving me a call." It sounds different in the tone, and even though they can't see you, they can tell if you're smiling and you're happy to be interviewing, or if you're just kind of somber and frowning while you're talking to them. And then my final tip is to tell them what you want. If you have a role in mind, let them know that, and they will do their best and they'll keep it in mind. It's not going to hurt you to say that you really, really want attractions or you really want to be a lifeguard. Don't say that you don't want a role because they probably already know from your application that you're not that interested in a role. But if you would die to work on Jungle Cruise attractions and be a skipper, tell your interviewer that and show them that you are really excited to work at Disney and that's a role that really excites you. I told my interviewer that I would love to do attractions, that I have some theater background, and that I like public speaking. I like having a script to memorize, and I like kind of hamming it up in front of people. I didn't get that role. I'm a lifeguard, as y'all know, but it didn't hurt me to tell Emily, my interviewer, that I would love to do attractions and that I really like scripts. So if you have a role that you're super passionate about and you would just love to work at Tower of Terror or Haunted Mansion, tell your interviewer that and let them know, especially if it's a role that's kind of unique, or something that not a lot of people really love. If you would really love to be custodial, tell them that, and you have a pretty good chance that they'll take that into consideration when they are looking through your application and through your WBI. There's a better chance that they'll take that into consideration if you tell them that that's something you're really interested in. Or if you want to make a connection to your major. For example, one of my friends is a hotel management major, and he really wanted to get into the Bell Dispatch at one of the resorts. He felt that that connected to his major well, and he thought that that would really be a great role for him. He told his interviewer on the phone that he's a hotel management major. That was something that he was really interested in, and he would love to work at a resort over a park. And now he's working at the French Quarter in Port Orleans as Bell Dispatch, so that worked for him. So if you have something that you love, tell them about it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get it. I didn't. I'm a lifeguard. But it can't hurt you to tell them that you really love something, so let them know. I hope you guys have a great phone interview. Just keep your energy up, be positive, and don't freak out if something doesn't go well. Learn from my mistakes and try to be as organized as possible, but also don't panic if something doesn't work out or go your way. It's not the end of the world, okay? I hope you guys have a great phone interview, and I wish you the best of luck. Have a magical rest of your day. Bye!